All right, let's get right into it. When you open up Proverbs chapter 11, you're not opening some dusty old list of moral tips. I want you to picture something else, a bustling, ancient marketplace. It's loud, it's practical, and it's where your character gets weighed right out in the open. And it's right there, in the middle of all the buying and selling, that we're going to see how God's wisdom isn't just a concept, but a person.
Yeah, right off the bat, let's get this straight. We're not here to collect a few handy life hacks like they're coupons for a better life. Nope. We're here to see how this ancient marketplace of wisdom points us directly to a person. Because as 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 24 tells us, Christ himself is the wisdom of God. So let's step into this world for a minute. See, in ancient Israel, your faith wasn't some private hobby you did on the weekends. There was just no separating your Sunday worship from your Tuesday business deals. It was all one and the same, woven into your daily work, your public reputation, and yeah, even your bank account. Everything was connected.
And the chapter opens with this absolute bombshell, a dishonest scale, a little thumb pressing down to cheat a customer. That wasn't just clever business. No, it was an act of rebellion against the very character of God. And why is that? Because Israel's God is a God of perfect, unbending justice.
Let's just pause on this word for a second. Abomination. This isn't just something God kinda dislikes, like a bad flavor. This word signifies something that is fundamentally incompatible with his pure and holy nature. See, any kind of crookedness is a direct offense to the very straightness of God himself. And here's the unavoidable truth of it all. You just can't claim to worship a just God on Saturday and then run a crooked shop on Monday. That contradiction, it will eventually explode. Your integrity or your lack of it in the tiny details of life preaches a much louder sermon about what you truly believe than anything you could ever sing in a temple. And as we walk through this chapter, you'll start to see this theme build. It's a series of sharp, unavoidable contrasts. Over and over, Proverbs 11 presents two ways to live, two paths to walk, and it forces you to choose. There's absolutely no neutral ground, no comfortable middle lane to just coast in. You can see the pattern right here, can't you? The structure is simple, but wow, it is brutal in its clarity. Pride walks in, and disgrace is trailing right behind it. Integrity isn't just a nice personality trait, it's your GPS. And notice the wicked. It says they aren't pushed. They fall by their own wickedness. The whole chapter is designed to make you pick a side. That is honestly the best way to put it. The path of wickedness is self-destructive. It has a built-in gravitational pull toward total ruin. It's not that you sin and then maybe you get struck by lightning. No. The sin itself is the cause of the fall. It comes with its own banana peel. But, as we keep reading these sharp contrasts, this uncomfortable question starts bubbling to the surface. If this is the map, who is actually staying on the righteous path? See, the chapter isn't just giving us instructions, it's an exposé. It holds up a mirror, and frankly, the reflection can be a little unsettling. I mean, the Bible has some of the most cutting and, let's be honest, hilarious imagery you'll ever find. This verse is a perfect example. It's saying that external beauty without any internal wisdom is completely absurd. It's like putting a luxury accessory on a total disaster. The value is just completely misplaced. And this is absolutely vital for us to get. Proverbs is not describing the average person. This isn't some sociological survey of ancient Israel. It is describing God's perfect standard. It's holding up a picture of what a life that is perfectly aligned with reality, as God designed it, actually looks like. And this is where the tension just snaps. The Old Testament praises righteousness, but the rest of Scripture, like we see here in Romans chapter 3, verse 10, is crystal clear. On our own, none of us measure up. Nobody lives consistently on the righteous side of that ledger. Which leaves us with the big question, the one that hangs over everything. If this is the perfect standard, and none of us meet it, then who does? Who has ever, in the history of the world, perfectly embodied this wisdom without a single contradiction? And the answer isn't a better philosophy or some new self-help program. The answer is a person. You see, Jesus Christ doesn't just teach the principles of Proverbs 11. He is the perfect living fulfillment of every single one of them. So let's take humility. Proverbs says, with the humble is wisdom. Well, Philippians chapter 2, verse 8 tells us that Jesus, who was equal with God, humbled himself to the ultimate degree, all the way to death on a cross. Or how about generosity? We're told in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9 that even though Jesus was rich beyond all measure, for our sakes he became poor. He didn't just give from his abundance, he gave his very self. That is the standard of generosity.
And this is where it gets even more profound. Proverbs says righteousness delivers from death. Okay, but Jesus does something way more shocking. His perfect righteousness takes him through death itself, and as Acts chapter 2, verse 24 says, he comes out the other side victorious, having utterly defeated it. And it all comes together in this one incredible verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 5. This is what theologians called the Great Exchange. Jesus doesn't just model righteousness for us, he credits his perfect righteousness to us. He takes on our sin so that we can receive his perfect standing before God. Just let that sink in for a second. The gospel is not about you trying harder to be a little bit better every day. It's about a complete and total substitution. Christ's perfect record becomes ours by faith. And it's that substitution that then leads to genuine, lasting transformation.
So here we are, back in the marketplace, and Proverbs 11 is presenting us with a choice. But it's a much deeper choice than just be good, don't be bad. It's forcing us to decide where we're going to find the righteousness that God's perfect, unbending scale requires. This is the absolute heart of the matter. So often we wish God would just grade on a curve, maybe overlook our shortcomings. But his scales aren't broken. The terrifying thing is that they're perfectly accurate. And that's our problem. We are all found wanting when we're weighed against his perfect standard. And that is why the good news is so absolutely staggering. Because Jesus steps onto that perfectly accurate scale, and he doesn't just balance it, he fulfills it completely. He is the weight of glory. So the goal isn't just to learn some wise principles, the goal is to meet the person who is wisdom itself. In the end, becoming a person of real integrity, humility, and generosity, it doesn't happen by sheer willpower. And it doesn't happen just by memorizing Proverbs. It happens through a living, breathing relationship with Jesus Christ. It's in him that we receive the very righteousness that God delights in. And it's by his Spirit that we are empowered to actually begin living it out. We have really only just scratched the surface of all the rich connections between the wisdom of Proverbs and the person of Christ. So if you want to dive deeper and get into a verse-by-verse exploration of this amazing chapter, the link in the description is your next step. Thanks for exploring this with me.